Get in the zone. AutoZone. I used to work at one of these. Let's see here. Alrighty. I gotta get a couple things from here. Yep, I used to work at AutoZone. Let's see if I look through it through here. Alright, I'm gonna have to look on the computer. I always put that in a vehicle that has over 100,000 miles. This is for my mother's car, so she got an oil change due. I'm trying to get it. And my car's lasted real long when I've used it. I've had 300,000 plus mile cars. CA 1781, which is the cabin air filter. A lot of people don't replace them in their cars. Now, a lot of my cars, I got the K&N air filter. I don't know if she has one in hers. If she does, I'll just bring this back. But the K&N air filter, you just clean it every time you do an oil change. And I know they're expensive, but they're worth it. I think that's it right there. No, 5'9", no, 5'8". That's 5'6". Oh, that's 114. I need 112. There it is right there. And then the oil filter. Yeah, it looks like SCP got something, a premium. But like I said, all you gotta do is get that cleaner there, that kit, wash it with a hose, little brush, spray that oil, and that'll last you a lifetime. As long as you do it every time you do your oil change or once a year. 7317. And normally I would change my oil on my cars every 3 months religiously, regardless of the miles. Now I gotta get some cleaning product. Regardless of the miles, I would always change my oil. Now I gotta get some spray wax, which is the best one that I use. Oh yeah, this one right here. Oh, it's all-purpose cleaner, detailer. Spray wax. Don't see the one that I normally get. But this is important too, the leather cleaner and conditioner if you have leather seats. Because if you put use wet or dry. We'll try this one. But it's like I said, you use this if you got leather seats, because if you put that other stuff on it, you put Armor All or something on it, it'll dry it up and it'll start peeling away. No, I'm trying to find my wax. Which, see, I don't like ceramic wax because it leaves a coat on there. I think I'll go with this spray wax. I'll try this one. This looks... What I like about this wax here is that you spray it and wipe it off immediately. You don't have to let it dry or nothing. You have to do your car at least once or twice a year. I want to try this one. This is a new product. Normally, I would get the turtle wax, but I don't see it here. And it looks like the ones they have are expensive, but it's not the one that I see here. And these are all good. I used to use those, but they're expensive. And I think that's all I need. Looks like they're out of stock on the Pro Elite, but I'll get this one. If you got tinted windows, just make sure you don't have it with ammonia, because ammonia is what turns your tinted windows. So I'm going to try this one for the first time. I don't use the ceramic one because the ceramic, again, leaves a film. And when it rains at nighttime, sometimes it's hard to see through that film. But that film, if you don't do it all the time, or you don't do it correctly, that film will show. And it will look horrible. That's what happened to my Toyota. It was a show car. I was buying a lot of products. But since I just have these new cars, and bug juice. Don't know why they always sell all season here. Alrighty. I'll just get this old cheapie. This is $5. Well, it's $1 more. I'll go with the bug remover. Alright. That's my little AutoZone kit, but definitely have to check out that Pro Elite products. It's cheaper. Yeah, I used to buy all this stuff when I had racing motors, and I always buy their batteries. The best warranties ever. Yep, everything came out to $79. $79 for all of that. AutoZone, the best place. Their warranties are all over, and America, Puerto Rico. No matter where you bring that car to, AutoZone will take care of your warranty parts. That's the reason why. Not only because I work there, but because I know the warranties are the best here. Okay, this part here I'm going to make painless as possible. I'm just going to show you a few things that I do when I do an oil change. And this is on the 2012 CRV. This is my mother's vehicle, so just make sure you have all your things, and that make sure you know anything with a 0 in front is synthetic. But to be honest with you, if it's over 100,000 miles, you can 1040 is the what they call the the oil that is you can use all over. And what I do is I add that, because synthetic oil, all synthetic oil is man-made oil with a little bit of oil in it. You can do the same thing with this mixture. You put this in with your oil and you have a synthetic thing. When a car gets over 100,000 miles, the synthetic sometimes gets real thinned out, and it'll start burning quicker, especially the lighter weight, and it'll whatchamacallit, it'll seep through your seals. I've had that experience happen where I had a car that wasn't synthetic, and it was seeping through the seals because I put synthetic because I thought it was the better oil. All right, I gotta take this off here. And it wasn't. The mixture that I made was just the same as good as synthetic oil there. Alrighty. But just remember that, you know, you can use that additive. And again, 1040 is the oil you can use. Don't go higher than 1040. Mix it with that, and you'll see it'll bring the burning down and it doesn't seep. And the reason why synthetic was made, especially in these newer cars with the warranties, with lifetime motors and all this 100,000 thing, is because synthetic, when you start a car up that's been sitting, the pistons don't wear the walls down. That's the whole purpose of synthetic oil, is that it doesn't wear the walls from a dry start, especially if you have a car that sits for days or weeks. The oil doesn't keep the walls moisture. What synthetic does, that's when Slick 50 first came out. If anyone remembers Slick 50, what that does, it leaves a coat on there, so when you start it from dry start, it's not burning the walls. Now this is a good air filter. This really doesn't have to be changed, but I don't know. I think I'm just gonna do it. But this here is I mean, my mother does not use this car. This thing can stay parked for weeks. But other than one is wider than the other, but I mean, it is what it is. Technically, I wouldn't do that. And plus I have a K&N personally, and the K&N you just clean and everything. But this you can get away with. There's nothing. You put it up to the light. But, you know, if you're gonna do it right, do it. I mean, there's a little bit of dirt forming, and you don't want that to get on the mass airflow, because usually the mass airflow is around in this area or that sensor, because when dirt starts filling that up, then all of a sudden your car starts going cuckoo. So, but anyway, that's the reason for synthetic oil, is to protect the walls on a dry start. This does the same thing when you add it to your oil. And this is not a quart extra. This is, if you have 4 quarts, you put 4 quarts in this. If you already did an oil change, you can still add this to it. It's not going to rise the oil and stuff. But that is on cars that's over 100,000 miles, guys. Don't, new cars, whatever, don't do it. But if you're noticing your synthetic, you're burning a little bit of oil, 1040 is the neutral oil across the United States. Another thing is to check this brake fluid, okay? If you notice your brake fluid is low, one or two things are happening. You have a leak or your brakes have worn down, okay? So when your brake fluid goes low, I mean, because the dealerships and place garages, they will not fill your brake fluid up. They will want to do a brake inspection. But when you do your oil change, you do your tire rotation as well, so you get the life of the tire. Well, if you notice that this is low, you look at your brakes down there. If your brakes still look good and you don't see no signs of leak, then you can fill it up to the max. But anytime you see your brake fluid's low, it's telling you, you know, your brakes are wearing down, or it's telling you have a leak. If your brakes are wearing down, that's fine. It can go low. But if you have a leak in the calipers or in the line or in that box back there, then you have issues. Or the master cylinder, it's what they call that, the brake master cylinder, that line right there. But this was I tapped it off because I did the rotation, and her brakes are fine. Because like I said, she might use this truck, you know, 5 times in a year. I mean, in a month. So, I mean, this truck's, it's got really low mileage. Okay, this car got 71,195 miles on a 2012. The wrench there means oil change, tune-up. The engine means there's something wrong with your sensors. So just remember, if you have something that says service soon, that's oil change. It's not a sensor. But if you have a check engine light, which is usually the motor, that means something's wrong with your sensors. Now in this 2012, to reset your oil life, you go there, and then you go to vehicle information, maintenance info, and then you see where it says reset. That's what you're gonna do. You gotta reset. See, would you like to reset? Because now it's gonna reset the oil life to 100%. And then tire rotation, reset. Because again, when that light comes on, the wrench comes on, that tells me I need tire rotation and oil change. Now from this date on forward, I'm already, that will be at 100% when the car starts up, and because it has to start up and roll a cycle. I did that early, but I'll show you when I'm done. Okay, I'm letting the oil drain while I continue to do the rest of the service on the car. But you see this washer, when you take out that oil plug, sometimes this washer will get stuck to the oil pan. You need to make sure this washer, or if yours comes with the washer, sometimes there's a little rubber thing built in the bolt. If this washer doesn't go back on, your oil will leak from there. And they do sell these if you lose them. So always remember to look for the washer. Another thing, when you don't put this in an area where it can get sand in it or dirt. This has got to go back without dirt in the threads, because you'll ruin the threads on the pan, and that's expensive to replace. The thing that people either don't know that they have, or they hate the most, or they think, who cares? Well, trust me, if you have allergies, and the reason they don't like to do it is because it's behind here. And basically, all you have to do is squeeze these two sides in, and this will drop. And your filter is right behind there. So sometimes if you notice your air conditioner's not blowing hard, I'm not saying this is the cure, but usually if you drive your car, and this isn't bad neither, when BB did hers, but you could see. But when you drive your car, you see that right there? When you recycle, that means you're taking the air within the vehicle and recycling it. When you don't recycle, that means you are your air is mixing with your air conditioning through those holes. This is why I'm gonna clean this. You need to clean this area and make sure it doesn't have leaves, because this sucks in. In Florida, if you don't recycle, if you don't have that on a recycle thing, then you'll have the hot air from the outside mixing with your air conditioner. And then you'll be like, wow, my air conditioner's not blowing that cold. It's because you have to have that button on so that it recycles the same cold air in it. In the wintertime, if you notice, like, wow, I got my heat on, and it still feels like it's cold air coming in. Again, it's because you have that off. And this usually tells you what side is facing up. And like I said, if you smoke cigarettes, if you keep that open, if you live up north and you live with a park underneath a lot of trees, I've seen this worse than this. This is not bad. But of course we replaced these, so it's not like it was there from 2012. And that's all this is. Then you just put that back and voila. Okay, when you check your air pressure out, it's always good to check it out. Make sure it's not cold out or anything. Make sure you didn't drive the car and check your air pressure, because regular air pressure will go up. Now, if you have nitro's supposedly not supposed to rise or fall, but as you can see on my trip to Tennessee, the nitro shrank in the cold. So I took the nitro out of BB's car. But in your door panel, it just tells you how much the air pressure each tire. It's got your size, and then of course you have if you need your information to find out the true year and month that it's made. But all your information is there. Check it out. Make sure, like I said, it's not a cold day because air shrinks. Not after you drove it, because air rises. Now that the oil's all out, I cleaned my dipstick so that I don't have old oil on here to trick me. And then of course you always go to the owner's manual and you see how much how many quarts of oil your vehicle takes. Another thing, never leave this open, never get dirt in here, wipe around there, and always keep that on there. Same thing with that brake fluid. Do not leave that open because the brake fluid collects moisture. So any moisture in the air, it'll go, the brake fluid would absorb it, and that moisture will go through your lines and it'll blow out your lines, your connector, the five-way. It's a thing where all your lines connect and it puts the pressure equally to all the brakes. Trust me, it'll rust them. Just make sure when you take that oil filter off, you wipe that whole area up. So that way, if you did have any leaks, you would know. But that whole area, wipe up. All right. It's the reason why there's a plastic thing there, so dust doesn't get in there. My oil filter, sometimes they come out sideways, sometimes they come out like this, and they come out like that. This vehicle, the oil filter sits up like that. What I normally do is I fill this up with oil. So that way when I'm done with the oil change and I start the car up, it's not doing a hard start with no oil. It'll absorb whatever new oil is in here. And then as the other oil starts filling this up, it protects it better. You get some of the dirty oil or new oil and you put it around this ring. Make sure when you take this off that this ring comes off, because sometimes these get stuck up there and you'll leak oil. So I said, put oil here if you want to, fill it up, and try not to get no dirt, dust, same thing in there. And I think there was something else. When you put this back on, it's hand tight. They'll tell you on there, because what happens is when this vibrates, if you put it on with a tool and you tighten it real tight in the vibration, it will take it off. You get this as tight as you can with your hand, real tight. Try both hands, just make sure it is hand tight, because again, when the motor rattles, this is going to tighten up eventually and this will seal. And the reason you put oil on here with your finger and go like that is so that this and the flat part seal and it keeps this from getting rotten. Some vehicles you got to take these splash guards off. This one here had a splash guard opening. Make sure these splash guards go back. What this does is protects any water from splashing underneath there and getting all your parts rusted. So, I know a lot of people, these fall off. They say, oh, it's expensive. I promise you, this protects the engine. That's why they're on all around this motor. It's to keep water from entering up there and rusting and ruining every part. What I normally do is I put that treatment in first. Sometimes it's a little bit thicker. I mean, my parents used STP 70s, 60s when it first came out. So STP is a good product, but I just let that drip there. Batteries, you just check for any acid. They have a battery spray that eats acid. Some batteries are waterless. This one, you can check your water, but you can't put sink water in there. You got to put, anyway, it's that water that doesn't have anything in it. You buy it from the store. It's a good time to check all those. Check your coolant. Check your windshield washer. Check your transmission fluid. This is going to go get a flush, so I don't have to worry about it. I mean, these are good times to check your belts. You know, you're checking while you got the tires off, you're checking underneath the car for any other oil leaks. I mean, basically, the maintenance of the vehicle. Check all your light bulbs. I mean, this is a good time, and those are all easy things to do. Some cars have two windshield washer reservoirs, one for the rear, one for the front. Always check the back. It's back there somewhere. Now, this is what I was telling you. They sell this This is a protector, and they sell a cleaner, an acid. And you got to be careful, because if you get that acid on you, it'll burn your skin, your clothing. So, but this is a protector. And what usually this is just a spray. And what usually that just does, it just keeps that from getting corrosive. But if your battery is getting corrosive, it's probably because it's getting hot. Could be the summer, it's overheating. When I used to have a sound system in my car, and that's it. I used to have a sound system anyway. It would make the battery hot and overheat. Another thing about getting these all out is that if you park underneath the tree, ants like to make a home in here, and they'll nest in your car. They'll get inside your car. They'll nest underneath the rugs. Anytime you eat or you leave something in your car, the ants will definitely take over. So make sure you get these leaves out of there, especially if you park on the grass. All right, to properly check your oil, make sure you run the car for a minute or a few seconds. Let it run, cycle through. Let the oil stand for at least a good minute, and then check your oil and make sure it goes up to the line. If you see that you're a little bit short, just add a little bit more. If you just went a tiny bit over, that's fine. If you want a whole quart over, you need to take that quart out. 4 quarts, even though it says 4.2, can be good. 4.7, no, because this will blow all your seals and it'll ruin your engine, pistons, and everything. All right, BB. AutoZone and a lot of these places will take your old oil. You can only bring so many quarts or gallons in a day.
Right.
Like if you have a small little garage, you just can't bring. But they'll take your old oil, a lot of these places. But that's it, guys. Sorry for the long video.
Oh, it'll be all right. So until the next video, everyone take care. Take care of one another. Take care of yourselves. See ya.